Dr. Al-Bayati, as you know, Iraqis have taken part since early 2005 in 7-8 elections, local, general, and a referendum. Do you think the political elite and people have come to this realization that the only way for peaceful transfer of power is through the ballot box, or they may think of other ways of changing power?
In the beginning, after 2003, when we have maybe for 1 year a cabinet we had which being led by Dr. Ayad Allawi, it's been peacefully way transferred the authority to the winning of the elections at that time. But also we have a doubt now because we're passing through 2 experimental national elections in Iraq, and we also have a fears about what the insisting of some leaders now to get try to use all the tools of the state to stay in the cabinet. And also by time we have heard some statements about we have to catch it, we will never let it go. That's mean the opposite of the meaning of the democracy. We
but
should
it is again a game played according to the rules of democratic game. So they want to stay in power because they have the majority. Do you think that they break the rules to stay in power?
Look, Democrats, yes, we believe this is the opinion of the people. But we've been passing through more than 11 years in Iraq now, that in the situation of different access, all the services in Iraq and the security file, the living type of the Iraqis now suffering from different ways of terrorist issue, living style, everything now we are suffering from it. And we think now we need real solutions, not just only to apply the tools of the democratic way. Yes, the election is too important to express the opinion of the public, of Iraqi people. But if we have till now insist on the same faces, on the same program, when we do not realize what's going on with the passing 10 years, maybe we will face another 10 years of the same situation. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, we are jumping from one dictator rule for more than 35 years to the democracy in a random way. That doesn't mean we have enough knowledge with the people how to deal with it. Now we are depending on different factors like sectarian issues, or racial, like the minorities' rights to play with it. And I think all of it came from outside of Iraq, especially with our constitution when we applied by the occupation troops when they tried to force it in Iraq to apply it. And now the same troops, I mean the United States, try to refuse it in Al-Qarm in Ukraine, a problem when they refuse the constitution there because under the occupation of Russia. What's the double meaning of that? Now we are suffering from all this issue. We have to put the fundamentals of the process, of the political process, in a democratic way. We should believe in the democracy. After that,
Good.
we will apply.
Dr. Bayati, the major parties and candidates in previous elections are almost here in this round of elections, and what they promised was change, and big change, not a small one. Do you think the same old people can break with the past and introduce change?
I think the previous MPs, when they acting in the core, they just only trying to watching the hands of the head of the block, which that mean we can summarize whole the parliament with 20 chairs. It will be enough to create decisions and legislations. All of them trying to follow their political leaders, how they look, how their views on some cases, try to follow. But, so the new issue, if we want to be changed, we should have a free opinion of the new MPs in the new parliament. If we today try also follow their leaders in the same way on the view without any discussions or analysis, I think we will have the same problem. We will repeat it again. For the meaning of the change, we have to looking for the believing people of the meaning of the change, not just only changing the faces on the parliament or the leaders in the cabinet. When we're talking about the majorities way, I think I confirm what Dr. Abdul-Jabbar is saying. We need to believe this will create a new two axes in the parliament, not just only the sharing, which we're trying to threaten each other's by the corruptions issue. We need to create an axis, a new one with the majority, who is looking for the rights of the minorities, and we need to create an oppositional's issue, try to correct the problems in the first one. If we get success with that, I think we will have divided people on two opinions, which one will defend, which one it's attack. After that, we will create a new mentalities in the Iraqi people. They trying to competitive between the other sides, how to serve, how to give more to the people to convince them for the new election. Not like now, we are trying to, all the previous MPs, just only looking for serving their small areas or their small tribes and neglecting all the national benefits for the Iraqis, because they are try to create the new campaign for them for 4 years to be elected, re-elected again by the same small groups.
Is there any force to compel them to change?
I know. I think I am betting on the new faces, and there is also new projects, civilian ones, to try to involve in the whole process, and they have high voices. Maybe they will convince the other to follow them.
Thank you. We have also talked to some people and asked their idea about the next government and the next parliament. Let's see what they have to tell us together. Dr. Al-Bayati, what priorities should be on the agenda of next parliament and the government it chooses? Definitely fighting violence and militancy is on top of the agenda. What other priorities there should be?
Here we have a problem, as I mentioned, with our social contract being made by the Iraqi people, which mean the constitution. I think it's been written and being received to be Iraqis, which being ready being written outside, and this is the main problems that we face. Secondly, we have to put at least 5 standards of national benefits. Would have a deal, which mean put it as red lines, no one can break it. Let's say the Iraqi plots, the Iraqi resources, and being distributed, and different issues, at least let's say about 5 ones. And after that, we will work on it later to create new issues being put it as red lines. Each political parties cannot be deal with it. After that, I think we will start a new move to rebuild the state. Second issue, we have to push a meaning of there is a difference between struggling on the authority and the struggling of build the state. We need all the political parties in Iraq have to believe that this is a new creation titled as a state. We have all of us to be corporate to build it in a normal way with the fully national and standards, even have the ability to deal with the international communities like in the economy axis, in education axis, in dealing of how to be a joint between the East and the West, because this area of Iraq and the Middle East is too important for the Eastern camp with the Western camp also. So if we have a deal on a few issues, but I think it will give us a big first step to create a new life in Iraq at least. If we don't, if we insist some such groups, because I believe in the beginning when they try to push this constitution, it's built on the deal. That's the KRG, I mean the Kurdistan political parties have the right on their federal region with the resources there, and also with the National Alliance that at that time to get the role of the cabinet. I think that will be enough now because we spent 10 years from our lives, from the Iraqis' life, to give another deal with them in the socially and politically, at least for the national benefits to start with.
Dr. Al-Bayati, to be fair, the government has missed many opportunities in the last 8 years. in terms of political and social reconciliation, provision of services, and fighting corruption. But the situation could have also got worse. I mean, you could imagine a situation where you had fighting and each province, people fighting each other, but at least the government has averted such problem. All in all, how do you evaluate the performance of the current government?
Oh, it's a big question. I think we have too much failures. I can't neglect it. The people are suffering everywhere. Even when they have the southern provinces there, when I ask them also, yeah, they will confirm that the cabinet will represent them. But what they get from that, till now they are suffering from the services, from the each part of education, schools, medical issue, also hospitals, everywhere, all of them suffering. So if we asking people from randomly from everywhere in Iraq, yes, they have a differences between the suffering issue, but in the total, all of them suffering. What does that mean for you? Till now, all the politicals are wasting their times in the struggles. Some of them trying to keep the rules and the authorities. Some of them, no, they are looking for the new federal as a system for serving their people in the provinces. Some of them are wasting their time between the decentralized and centralized ruling government with the special resources. We have the KRG federal, how to deal with the central of government in Baghdad. So I think all of it make around which one can handle and control more till this moment. For this reason, we are asking the people to change their mentalities on just not to follow who will represent your identity or sub-identity, because we have a deal, we should, and that. We should have one identity in Iraq, and this is what makes us Al-Arabiya coalition rising up, this symbol, Al-Arabiya. Because when you're talking between the Iraqis, they are talking about the minorities' rights when they mention the Shabak, the Yazidis, the Turkmen, the Kurdish. But when they reach to the Arab, they're asking just only Sunniyat and Shiites. So for this reason, we apply this symbol. We have to transition, at least in mentalities, to go to being united as Sunnis as Shiites. After that, we are looking how to deal with the KRG.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask. So far, Iraq has had 2 full-term governments, but there is the possibility that the future governments will be short-lived, with changing coalitions and maybe early parliamentary elections. Do you think this possibility is strong in Iraq, or you expect the next government to run its term?
It's depending on the Iraqi people on the day election. I don't know when this program will be broadcasting after election or before. So, but I will say it's dependent on Iraqis if they have more knowledge, and I believe they have more knowledge because they are for their conditions of life, because they are suffering always. They don't know. They are related to the political process. So everybody is trying to watching what's going on. So I think the new one, even we say yes, there is factors will affect the results. There will be a frog votes. There will be cutting, maybe made the roads. No one can move. We have the circle of Baghdad. We have the provinces have different security files. All of it will affect the results. But I will say I'm counting on the people opinion. If now they are rising up, as Dr. ALitjah En mentioned, we have the civilian projects. We have the democratic projects, not just only the same statues of symbols that we had before 10 years. Now we have different views. We have to share them with the high voice. After that, maybe we'll say, and I'm realistic about what was going on. In reality, in the land of political process in Iraq, yes, we will see the same faces will return back, especially with the big blocks in the process. And they will try to just only change a few standards in the game. So maybe now we are hearing about the majority cabinet in Iraq, but who can judge which one will be concluded in this majority, which one will be outside from this majority? It's some kind of give you a signs or indication on what's going on. But in the end, if the same issue being repeated again, the same faces, with just only partially changes of view here and there as it tells, that means we will face a new, the same 4 years coming up with the tragedies.
Thank you. We don't have much time left, but before going, let me have a review of what we discussed in this debate. Many in Iraq share this belief that an essential part of the country's current crisis is due to not putting the right people in the right place and the failure of those in power to deliver what people expected and needed most. The public expects the coalitions that will be in the next government to present a detailed program and remain committed to it before the nation. Some might argue that a government composed of several incongruent blocs cannot reach consensus on a unified program. This may sound true, especially in the case of smaller details, but the big problems facing the country are easy for all to see. Dr. Abdul Jabbar Ahmed and Dr. Mehand Hossamuddin Al-Bayati, it was great having you in this program.
Thank you.
And many thanks for watching this episode of Eye on Iraq. Till the next program, goodbye.